Good to see everyone again. This is week
Great.
3.
Yeah.
We were doing, hey, Safia Bendelli, how are you? I'm so happy to see y'all. I was rushing. Simone Green, wow, DC, by way of Seattle. Hey. Hey, Janine Eder in Oakland, what's up? Just shout out where you are, folks. Where y'all at? Just say it.
Brooklyn.
New York.
Jersey.
Oakland.
Jersey.
Hey, Simone. Good to see you. Good to see all of you. And so we still got folks coming in. I want to do what we did last week. Raise your hands or say something. If any of y'all are here for the 3rd straight week or the 2nd straight week, just make some noise.
Yeah.
Week three.
I see you, Bertha. I see you, Bertha Watts Hicks. Anyone's new, make some noise. First week. Oh,
welcome.
I know we have a few folks on the phone. We're letting folks in. So let's do this. As people are coming in, let's do what we've been doing. We started last week. Let's just decompress, take a moment. Today, can we let these folks who are just sitting here, they're coming in now. Just want to make sure everybody gets in. Let's just take a moment, close our eyes, if you don't mind. Let's trust each other, trust ourselves, trust each other. And, you know, I'm even gonna put my hoodie on because that's how we do in New York. But seriously, let's breathe in through our noses, out through our mouths. We're gonna do this a few times because we need to learn how to slow down, myself included. I have had a crazy 7 days since last Tuesday when we did this. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Maybe move your neck a little bit. I'm doing sideways, but also because many of us sit at computers or on our phones and we are bending down for our phones. If you are able, just, stretch your arms up a little bit. Just stretch your arms up a little bit. Roll your neck around. I'm just encouraging. I'm a yogi, y'all. I practice yoga. I know I got these skateboards behind me. I definitely ride those skateboards too and everything, but yoga has saved my life. And what I got most from yoga is breathing, just learning how to breathe. Any yogis out there?
Yeah.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
And y'all thought I only listened to hip hop. See there? I'm a classical music and jazz man too up in this piece because I need music that can also chill me out. When I need hip hop, I'm like, yeah. Let's do it together 5 times. In through the nose, a big inhale. Out through the mouth. Second time in through the nose. Out through the mouth. Third time, positive energy through the nose. Out through the mouth. Fourth time, big one. Out through the mouth. And for this 5th one, if you're just joining us, just jump in. This is our 5th one. Give us a second, let people jump in. Eyes closed, positive energy. Bring in through the nose the positive energy that you want for yourself, your family, your community, this country, our world. In through your nose. And all the toxic, negative energy, release it through the mouth. Big one, y'all. And when you're ready, let's just open our eyes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. So welcome. This is week 3. It's called Writing Poetry. And as we said on the social media messages the last couple of days, it's not just about folks who are poets. I'm a poet. Any other poets out there, make some noise. If you're a poet, you write poems, you've written poetry books. Yeah. And read poetry. Hey, Zach Traves. I see you, brother Zach.
Hey.
But poetry is really anything that is poetic. And so you can write a screenplay that's poetic. You can write a blog that's poetic. If you're a James Baldwin or a Joan Didion, you have essays that are incredibly poetic. One of my favorite pieces ever was an article about Frank Sinatra in the Esquire, 1966. Frank Sinatra, 1966, by Gay Talese, who's still alive and is in his 80s. It's one of the most beautiful essays I've ever read about someone, a profile of someone. And guess what, y'all? For those who don't know, Gay Talese never actually interviewed Frank Sinatra because he wouldn't let him.
Wow.
So Gay had to use his poetic imagination and interview people around Frank Sinatra and describe the scenes that was happening, you know. So why these workshops? Because people have asked, people need it. I think that's clear. I need it. And as we say, what is the phrase, y'all? Safe space and know what, y'all?
No
Judgment.
judgment.
No judgment.
No judgment, no judgment. And I don't want to recap it, but let's say this. Oh my gosh, thank you to the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, to Chris Lopez, Jason Quinones, Daniel Galan. Thank you to Sadea, my teammate who's co-hosting the space with us. We would not exist without them. Folks who asked for a Facebook page, Sadea has set it up. We'll put the link in the chat room immediately. And now I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. We're gonna need y'all to participate in this Facebook page since y'all asked for it, you know. So we're gonna need people to, you know, share work there as well in between these workshops. Again, for a little bit of housekeeping, we have to register for each and every workshop. We have to, every week you just got to register for it. The Zoom link is always on the registration page. Nuyorican's kind enough to put it there, and all the videos, each session is recorded so folks can go back and see things, maybe hear the work that they shared, you know, get some notes they missed. And starting this week, we're making sure we also document the chat room stuff. So stuff that y'all posting there. We apologize, we forgot to do that the first 2 weeks. So please forgive me for that. It is 7:11 East Coast time, 4:11 West Coast time. And what we want to do is just really get into this thing called poetry. So let's start. Sadea, can we put up the six basics that I wrote down about poetry? And again, you don't have to be a poet. You don't have to be a spoken word artist, a spoken word poet. But I do believe that poetry is a very important part of how we write. And some of the greatest writers we've ever had. I mean, how do you read a play by Shakespeare, or read a short story by Edgar Allan Poe, or read a novel by Toni Morrison and not see the poetry in it? Y'all with me out there?
Yeah.
You know, how do you listen to a song like Bob Dylan's Blowing in the Wind, or Smokey Robinson, who wrote My Girl for the Temptations? So can y'all all see this?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll actually read it as well. And we're gonna also post this in the chat room so everyone can have a copy of it. And everything that we share now, we're also gonna post on the Facebook page. The Facebook page is called Kevin Powell Presents I'm a Writer. We're just gonna roll with I'm a Writer. We're writers, right, y'all?
Yes, sir.
All right. So these are just my basics that I've thought about over the years. One, do not try to sound like anyone else. Trust your own voice. Trust your own voice. And what I thought was beautiful about last week, when we had 15 folks share their work, and we're going to pick some folks today as well to read, the voices were also beautifully distinctive. You know,
Right.
there, for example, I'm still stuck on, you had us thinking your poem was about something else, and it was about a bike.
Yes.
That was hot. That was hot.
You feel me?
Yeah.
That was so dope.
Number two, hold on today, I want to just go through it. Can number two, read the greatest poets and listen to the greatest songwriters ever. Now, anybody, why did I say poets and songwriters? Why do you think I threw songwriters in there? Anybody?
They're poets too.
Poetry is song.
Songwriters are very poetic.
That's right. Well, let me hear
Poem
y'all.
is a song.
Who do you feel are some of the greatest songwriters / poets ever? And what songs stick out to you?
Well, Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen, yeah, great Leonard Cohen. Yeah.
Homer.
I used to write hip hop for myself, and I always said it was poetry put to music.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah, Tupac, you know.
I mean, is anyone going to say Joni Mitchell, Lord Nero?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I'm going to say, anyone going to say Paul McCartney and John Lennon? Is anyone going to say Bob Marley? Bob
Michael
Marley.
Jackson.
Stevie Wonder. And I hear Lauryn Hill, just one album.
Lauryn Hill. Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige.
Right.
Can I hear Billie Holiday writing God Bless the Child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ani DeFranco.
Jill Scott. We can't forget
Ani
Jill
DeFranco.
Scott.
Erica
Jill
Badu.
Scott.
Badu.
Woo!
Yes.
So, and what was the quote unquote? We're not going to call it homework. We're going to call it. What did we say? We're going to call it play work, or what was the phrase?
Play work.
Play work. Play.
And I appreciate. Hold on a second. I appreciate all of y'all. I mean, people were sending me haikus all through the week. I appreciate it. Some of it was funny. Some of it was like, Lord, I don't need to be reading this. You know what I'm saying? It was highly. No, but it was beautiful because it's practice. You know, it's practice. And so read the greatest poets ever. I'm going to share a few poets that I love, and I purposely wanted diverse poets, you know, because I think that we have to read all kinds of poets. Notice the songwriters that we mentioned, the poetry, you know, John Lennon's Imagine is one of the most powerful songs ever written, you know, and God, let me share this with y'all. You know, my favorite singer-songwriter, well, my favorite singer, Sam Cooke, and he's also one of my favorite songwriters. Now, think about this. If you're really a great writer, Bob Dylan wrote a song called Blowing in the Wind. This is a Jewish brother from Minnesota who wrote a song about the civil rights movement. Sam Cooke, a black brother from Chicago, was so blown away by the song, he started performing it, and then eventually inspired him to write his own song. What was that song called, y'all?
Change gonna come.
Is gonna come.
That's what great writers do for other writers. You know what I mean? Number 3, a writer must write a lot, even if just pieces of words, ideas, thoughts, lines, phrases. I want to say this. I don't know if we said this in the first 2 workshops, but please correct me if we have not, y'all. Please try to avoid terms like writer's block. Why? Anyone? Why?
It gets into your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reinforces the block.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. What I do, and please, again, every week this is going to be interactive because we're teaching each other. What I do, if I feel like I just don't have the words in that moment or it's just not clear to me, I go do something else. I put on music. I watch a film. You know, I might look at some art, do some art books or something like that. I stay in that artistic space. So I'm always bringing something into my being that's inspiring. You know, and, hey, I'm a sports fan. It may even be sports, you know, like the way someone shot the basketball, you know, it could be anything like that. But I think we need to avoid terms. And what was that word that started with a C that 2 writers used last week and we corrected them, y'all?
Can't.
It was like back to back. I was like, we can, you know, it's going to be hard, but we can do these things. We can write because we are writers. I am a what, y'all?
Writer.
I'm a writer. And writers write. Poetry. Do not tell us, show us. A poet paints pictures with words. And underneath, you know, we're going to talk about some of the ways that we can paint pictures. It's not here, but it's the next list. But a poet paints pictures with words. There's nothing wrong with writing a poem where it's just, you know, I'm just expressing what I feel. I just need to get it off my chest. But as you dig deeper, and this is something that was said to me, I took some writing classes in the early 90s at the New School, which is one of the best writing programs in the country, Eugene Lane College. Right. And I remember the professor, the late great Sekou Sundiata, you know, one of our great poets, said, you have to dig deeper. I remember I took a writing workshop in the community and the teacher there said the same thing to me. You have to dig deeper. One of the things that I noticed with us as writers, and I'm guilty of it as well, whether we're writing poetry, blogs, essays, fiction, we will consciously or subconsciously use the same words that you may have heard someone else use. Now, we know that there's only a certain amount of words in our English language and other languages as well, be it Espanol, you know, Japanese, Italian, whatever it is. But my challenge to myself and to all of us, if you're going to write a poem or a piece of fiction, you know, or an essay or a blog, you want people to come away from it and say, I've never heard it put just like that before. Right. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How can I remix this that it is so unique that people are like, well, I've never heard it said like that before. You know, that's what I think about. And so that leads to number 5, you know, and that's where the creative, the painting, the picture comes in. You know, you don't want to just say my wall is, I guess it's blue or greenish or blue or something like that. But what kind of blue or green is it? You know what I mean? You don't want to just say my skateboards are hanging on the wall, but how's it hanging on the wall? Is it dangling like what? You know, that's where metaphors and similes come in. The word like, you feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And people were asking that question, which leads to number 5, rewrite to avoid cliches, same words over and over again. Number 6, study and practice the different types of poetry, including these 15. I really came for this session prepared, y'all.
I see.
Let me tell y'all, you know, some of y'all may know some of these, some of y'all may know all of these different types of poetry. This 15, again, you don't have to worry about taking notes right now. We are purposely writing everything down. We're going to put it in the chat room for y'all. And we'll also put this document that you see and the other documents on the Facebook page that you'll have the link for in the chat room. But blank verse, I just want to say that one. Blank verse is poetry written with a precise meter, almost always iambic pentameter. How many of us remember that term from grade school or high school? Iambic pentameter.
Yeah.
Now let's be honest about it. How many of y'all have not heard it since high school?
Yeah.
Probably not.
It has to do with 5.
What
That's
did
all
you
I
say?
remember.
Yeah. Say that. Was that? Who was that speaking?
I
That's
write a
me.
lot of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Michael. It was Michael, and who else was speaking? Please go, both of you.
Marion.
Hey, Marion, what were you saying about five? The number
I
five?
was saying the only thing I remember about iambic pentameter is that it has to do with 5, I think,
Yeah.
from pentameter.
Yeah. I'm brother Michael, what did you want to say?
I write a lot of sonnets, so I use iambic pentameter all the time.
I love that you write sonnets. How many of y'all remember having to write sonnets in high school or grade school? Anybody? How many of y'all did not like it? Be honest about it. No judgment. Safe space.
And still don't.
Okay. What was it that you didn't like about it?
I couldn't get the flow. I couldn't get into that flow at all.
Okay.
I was that way too. And then it's just a matter of doing it, man. Just like
Gotcha.
everything in life, man. It's like before that, I used to write a lot of triolets, which are lines of 8 syllables.
That's right.
And so it's like my mind thought in 8 syllables. And then I started trying to do sonnets, and I had to like change the way, you know, I would look at something and my whole description would just suddenly be a 10-syllable description.
Got it.
Just working it.
Just keep working it. Got it.
Yeah.
Most of us, what I've noticed, particularly those of us who not only write poetry, but we also perform or read our poetry in public, a lot of us do what we call, which is number 3, free verse. Free verse poetry is poetry that lacks a consistent rhyme scheme, metrical pattern, or musical form. Although I think poetry in its very essence is musical. You know, some of my favorite poets are the beat generation writers like Allen Ginsberg. If you listen to a poem or read his poem, Howl, the great Welsh writer, Dylan Thomas, who I love, you know, and Dylan Thomas is actually the influence on Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's name was Robert Zimmerman when he was born. He loved Dylan Thomas, so he changed his name to Bob Dylan. You know, there's narrative poetry, which is also very popular, you know, similar to an epic poem. It tells a story. You know, how many of us have written narratives in some form? I know we have fiction writers out there. Am I right?
Yeah.
You know, it tells a story. Yes, shout out Lauren Summers to Wales. Lauren Summers is actually the reason why I was able to go to Wales and celebrate Dylan Thomas' 100th birthday a couple of years back. So I don't, you know, we don't have to go through all of this right now, but I want you all to please make a personal commitment to trying getting out of your comfort zone. You know, like Dr. Michelle Sims-Burton, you read a piece last week that was beautiful. You know, and when you think about some of our great novels, it could be works by Zora Neale Hurston, you know, by Dickens or Toni Morrison. Who said that in the middle of your novel, you can't have some free verse or some narrative poetry or a haiku or pastoral poetry or a sonnet? You know, who says that you can't play with language a little bit? Does that make sense, you all?
No, thank you.
You know, because I think part of it is being willing to dive in and trying some new things. And so, and thank you, Marion, for putting in the chat room 2 books to yes, Michael, I see your hand. Go right ahead.
Claudia Rankine right now, man, she's doing stuff with,
yes.
I mean, her whole thing is hybrid. She's doing prose and poetry and so powerful.
That's right. That's right. That and Claudia Rankine, I edited an anthology years ago that Claudia is in, and she's one of our brilliant writers. I absolutely agree with you. And as y'all hear these names, you know, even if you can't read whole books of all these writers, please consider, you know, reading some excerpts of the work of folks, because again, writers write, but writers also have to read consistently, you know, and just digest words, you know. Where are we? It's 7:23. I want to step back to the agenda that I have for a second. Sadea, can we go over to the 10 types of figurative descriptive language really quickly? We're going to do another screen share, y'all. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And again, I know we've all heard some of these, if not all of these terms. I mean, we've kind of thrown it out the last couple of weeks, but it's like, again, when you write, don't always tell us, you know, where the poetry comes in, no matter what type of poetry, where the poetry comes in, no matter what type of writing you do, a play, a screenplay, a blog, an essay, a poem, you know, where's the descriptive language? Where's the simile? Where's the metaphor? Where's the implied metaphor? Where's the alliteration? And so I love the first example, simile. A simile is a figure of speech that compares 2 separate concepts through the use of clear connecting words such as like or as. Examples of similes are phrases such as, he was wily as a fox, I
Right.
slept like a log. We use
I
these terms
love
all the
that.
time. You know what I mean? But we don't realize we're actually using poetic language. You know what I mean? It was hard as whatever y'all want to say. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I mean? So if you're using as or like, you're using simile. Metaphor number 2 is like a simile, but without the connecting words. It simply posits that two separate things are the same. He was a wily fox. She cried a river of tears. Donald Trump is a blank.
Good one.
Y'all can fill that metaphor in. I'm sure y'all got some choice words there.
All day.
You know, but you know, take a look. Remember, let's go down to number 9 real quick. Can we scroll up just a little bit? Is it possible, Sadaya?
Yeah.
Number 9, please. Thank you. I'm letting some people in. And she's So number 9, I know we have to remember this word from childhood, onomatopoeia. Do y'all remember that word?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what Jackson was trying to say in that song?
One of my favorites.
Yes. Yes.
That was that. Oh,
Yes.
always do
Onomatopoeia. Words that
Yes.
words sound like the thing they describe. Tick tock, ding dong, zap, hiccup. If anyone's a Batman fan like I am, remember on the old Batman show?
Bang, zoom,
Yeah.
pow, yes.
Bam.
That was onomatopoeia. Y'all
Yes.
feel me? That was
Yes.
onomatopoeia. Who knew, right?
Yes.
We just thought Batman was gangster. You know what I'm saying? But when we realize that words, like color, like images, are all around us, and we actually already using it. A pun, number 8. A pun is a play on words. It exploits the different meanings of a word or its homonyms, usually to humorous effect. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. You know, I want y'all to do me a favor as we're talking about the different things each week. Think about the things, no matter what your family background. You know, we got folks in this group who are Jewish, Italian, African American, West Indian, Latinx, Asian, you know, straight, queer, all different backgrounds. How does your family speak?
Mhm.
Do you listen to your family? Do you listen to the poetry of your family?
Hmm.
Do you listen to the poetry, the rhythms of your community?
Mhm.
Because writers, no matter what genre of writing, you realize that everything you need is oftentimes right in front of you,
Mhm.
right? Y'all with me?
Yep.
So that's gonna be posted as well. I don't want to put a lot of time on that because I do want to get to some folks that are going to share. But let me just go back one second. Give me a second because I have like 3 different sets of notes today. Because I love poetry so much. And I started writing poetry. I started writing poetry because I didn't think my voice mattered, to be honest with you all. I was one of those children, or I spoke, but I would speak really fast, and I still speak fast a lot. But poetry got me out of my shyness and my insecurities. Anyone out there know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
You know? And the reason why the Nuyorican Poets Cafe is partners with us on this is because they were one of the first spaces that I went to, 1990, a long time ago. And I was able to get up in front of people and just share my poetry. And I can't tell you how empowering that was, you know? And I actually used to think that poetry was, well, I don't know if I thought it was corny. I just didn't think it was something that I could do. You know, I remember reading poetry and Michael, to your point, I love sonnets, especially Shakespeare in high school, but I didn't think it was me. But I remember when I got to college and I saw someone would get up, so I'm going to do a poem. And then the way they expressed themselves, I was like, you can do that? You can say that? You can actually talk like that? You know, it blew my mind, you know? And I also will say that because I always have loved music, I didn't realize how much I was digesting poetry. I mean, when you listen to, you know, everything. Think about Eric Clapton's Tears in Heaven. You know, think about some of the great writings of Pink Floyd. You know, I'm just throwing music out there, but I didn't realize that I always had a love for poetry from the very beginning. I have a question for y'all, and this is for anyone and everyone. What exactly is poetry to you?
Poetry to me is just what comes from
Say
my
who's
heart.
speaking and what state or country you're in, please.
Okay, my name's Diane. I'm in New York City.
Hey, New York in the building.
Poetry to me has always just been my emotions coming straight from my heart. It's what I've always used to express the things that I'm going through in my life. When I was depressed, when I was insecure, when I was happy, when I was in love, when I wasn't in love. So for me, poetry just became my voice. It was what was going on inside of me.
Do you have a favorite poet?
They've changed a lot. I love Nikki Giovanni. I've always loved her. I love Sonia Sanchez.
Yes.
I grew up in that era, so Amira Baraka, you know, all of those type of poets I really love. But I love some of the older ones too. I saw that somebody put Audre Lorde down. I love her. I love reading some of the Phyllis Wheatley.
Yes, yes. I did hey y'all, I did the last interview with Audre Lorde via telephone back in 1993.
Wow.
She died.
Wow.
Wow, Kevin.
It was published in a magazine that doesn't exist anymore. And I will promise y'all, I will eventually, hopefully by next year, get the whole interview out. Because I mean, she was incredible. I love Audre Lorde. I learned a lot from her, just from that led me to her work. And I was like, this is an incredible writer. Please write down some of these names. Some of my favorite poets have names like Lucille Clifton.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pablo Neruda.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said Allen Ginsberg earlier, E.E. Cummings, definitely Maya Angelou, you know what I'm saying? Who else? What does poetry mean? What does the word poetry mean to you?
For me, hey.
Who's
MJ,
speaking?
Original MJ in the building.
Oh, Michelle, hey. What's up?
How are you, Kevin?
Good, and good to see all of y'all who just joined us. Shout out to all of y'all. How y'all feeling out there?
Good.
Okay,
For
go ahead.
me, I don't have a long drawn out thing. For me, poetry is my heart speaking.
Oh, nice.
Simply put, and nothing else needs to be said after that.
Okay, okay. My heart is speaking. Who remembers what the first poet said, or first writer said? What was her response about what poetry is? Who remembers? Who's listening?
Her heart speaking.
That was the second. That's the second writer. What did the first writer say? What is poetry? Hey, Britta in Toronto, I see you. What's up?
Mm-hmm.
I still want to get to Canada. Can I, you know, y'all know.
You got a home here.
Appreciate it. No one remembers who was the first writer who said what poetry is? Y'all forgot that fast?
Diane.
Where you at?
I'm right here.
What did you say poetry is again?
It was a way for her to express her voice.
Yes. Anyone else? What does poetry mean to you?
A platform to address international issues the media ignores. One poet I absolutely love is Marilyn Nelson, and she performed a piece on the Tulsa race riots in 2018, and the audience was silent for a full 3 minutes.
Wow. Now that's emotional.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we want our writing. I mean, when I was at Vibe magazine, one thing that was said to us is that you should strive for everything you write to be a classic piece of material. It may not all be, but you have to try for it. You know, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. The things that I heard last week, whether y'all said y'all were new writers or haven't really been published at all or established writers, it was some phenomenal writing last week. Would y'all agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why we went 3 hours instead of 2 hours, but that's okay.
I'm mad I missed it.
Let's do this real quick. So today, can we throw up the poems? I picked out 6 poems. They're all pretty short. It's 7:32. I am being very serious about time this week and going forward. Today, can we do that screen share, if you don't mind? I'm sharing 6 poets. I will tell you their names in a second. And I want us to just do a read through of these poems. And I just want us to kind of freestyle and talk about what we're feeling and seeing from the way they each of them write. And I purposely picked 6 different types of pieces. Are you there, Sadea?
Yes, I'm here. I'm pulling it up. 1 second.
Okay. So the poets will be Maya Angelou, Robert Frost, Emily Dickinson, Pablo Neruda, Santa Maria Esteves, and Langston Hughes.
Wow.
Yep. And so I want us, please really do it, y'all. I'm going to read them too. Let's read the poems. Let's take about 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast you read. And let's read through these poems. Jot some notes down. Remember we were just talking about figurative language, descriptive language. You know, remember we were just talking about, you know, the different styles of poetry, be it sonnets or narrative poetry, epic poems. And I want to talk about these 6 poems when we're done. Let's just go through it. Is there a way to put it in the chat room, just copy each one and people can kind of scroll on their own screens?
Yeah, she can attach it as a file.
Can you do that, please? Hey, Lujaga Cooper, I see you. What's up? Hey, Marilyn B.
It's funny though. I do want to say one thing before you move on.
Is that Lajara?
Yeah, it's me.
Hey, Kathy Nelson.
It's funny because today I was I'm doing a 7-day, 1,000-word a day writing class.
Wow.
Fun. But it was funny today because I was writing a scene and this whole line from The Highwayman it just ended up because it was talking about moons.
Oh,
And just
wow.
had that whole line had to go in there about being a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas.
Wow.
So it was just it's just quite interesting because my favorite poem though is really an old one, but it's Invictus because
I love Invictus.
that's just my poem. I love that poem.
And then if anyone has pledged the fraternity sorority like I have, you know that Invictus is something that a lot of us had to memorize. You know what I'm saying?
I've memorized it.
Oh,
It
yeah.
helps me a lot.
Yes, brother.
Yes. So let's the poems are there in the chat room. Let's take about 10 minutes and read through the poems. Please, can we do that, y'all?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want us to get into this space. And keep in mind, again, it doesn't matter if you write poetry, screenplays, plays, essays, blogs, the whole gamut, children's books, poetry, reality of words should be a part of how you write, I believe. So some of the poems you may be familiar with, some you may have I've read in years, some of it may be new to you. Let's just go through it. Can we mute everyone for while we're reading, please? Chris Lopez, if you don't mind, please. For everyone, the poems are in the chat room as an attachment. It's for all of you all, so you could just open it yourselves. That's what I just did. And please, as you're reading, think about lines of each of the poems that really just strike you with their imagery, how rich it is. Okay, we got an issue. Today at Chris, people are saying they can't access the poems.
Okay, so I'm gonna save it as a PDF and try to drop it in there once more.
And can you put it back up on the poems back on the screen too, one by one maybe? Hey, Dodie, I see you. Hey, Kyla, I got your private message. I got you. If y'all can hear me. Oh, are some of you on mobile devices? That might be an issue too. I'm on a laptop, so I can see it. Kyla, if you're good with going first, just hit me with a private message. Just say yes or no. Yeah, some folks are on iPhone. Okay, thank you, Kyla. So Kyla, got you. Is everyone actually seeing the poems now? Cristal, you can see it? Cristal, is that Cristal? You can see the poems? Okay, cool. I'm just trying to. David, you can't see the poems? Aaliyah is saying no poems. Oh boy. Some people can see it, some can't. Are y'all clicking the link that she posted, that Sadea posted in, I can see it on the screen. If you know, let's unmute everyone. Chris Lopez, please. Let's do this. Can we unmute everyone? Okay. Technology is wonderful when it works, right, y'all? Can we just scroll down then? Did everyone read at least the Maya Angelou poem?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone not read the Maya Angelou poem?
Yes.
Someone hasn't read it? Yeah,
I read it.
Okay, the way it works, you just got to click the link where it says allpoems.docx in the chat room. Did the majority of you, we have over 100 people here again today, did the majority of you get to see the poems or no?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Who did not?
I saw some of the
David?
some of the Maya Angelou.
Did y'all at least get to see two or three? We have 6 poems. Did you at least get to see 2 or 3 or no?
No.
Yes.
No?
No.
So today, let's do this.
I didn't even see a link.
Is the
Yeah,
link
I didn't see the link at all.
Did you guys download it to your computer? Because if you download it to your computer,
It was never in the chat for some of us.
oh,
Right.
Weird.
that's what.
Right.
Are you, I assume we have Android users and iPhone users and PCs and
iPad.
No, but it could be.
I'm going with the mobile device as the culprit.
Right. If you're on an iPad or phone,
I'm on the iPad.
you're not right. You're not going to get the link. If you're on an iPad or possibly even a phone, you will not get the link. That's just how.
Is there a way to have just a list of poems so that way we can look it up online?
We could just look it up.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's do that. Let's put that in the chat room as text, please, today at the titles of the poem.
The author, just in case.
So can we do this really quickly, Sadea? Let's put the poems back up, all 6 up, and let's just focus on Santa Maria Esteves, Maya Angelou, and Emily Dickinson. Can we just read those 3 poems, y'all? If we haven't already, can we just put the whole thing up and just focus on those 3 poems for a second?
Yes.
Okay, and we're gonna get to folks reading again, but I just wanna, so let's start with Maya, take a couple minutes there, then let's scroll down to, I believe Emily Dickinson is after that. We're just gonna go with Maya, Emily, and Sandra, because I wanted 3 different types of poems.
Emily is.
I'm gonna get some water I'm gonna be right back, I just need water. I have something better than water. I got my green juice. I forgot I still had some. Yay. And I bought straws, y'all. I got straws.
Are they metal straws?
Paper straws.
Are they metal straws?
I'm scared to answer that question as a vegan. What kind of straw should I have? As I hide my straw. No, Timmy, what kind of straw should I have?
Paper?
That's the thing.
Paper
That's
or
the thing.
metal?
That's the new thing. Everything's got to be either something that doesn't go back into the earth and something that you can last over and over. So metal tends to be the thing. It's supposed to be no plastic straws and no paper straws.
I'm gonna get a glass of water. I'll be right back.
Copper, okay. I don't know the origin of that, y'all. I don't know the origin of that.
Yeah, people tend to recycle straws, but they end up back in the ocean, you know.
Yeah.
And you end up seeing on Facebook or something where a poor tortoise has got a plastic straw stuck in his nose.
That's where I got it from, a tortoise story online. Thank you.
So I think what it is people need to like be mindful of what they actually recycle and what goes into the recycle bin and what actually goes into a landfill, because a plastic straw can go into a landfill.
I agree. Are we good with Maya? Can we skip to the next poet that I was talking about? Can we go down? Yeah. Please, Sadea. We're gonna go past Robert Frost. Emily Dickinson, can we read that one? Emily was getting her drink on. I taste the liquor never brewed.
What?
Title?
She was lit.
This got drunk.
You said she was lit. Hey.
In her own way, she was very trippy.
Yeah.
I'll have some tonight watching this debate.
For real. Right?
I'm gonna watch some sleep. I'm not watching that.
I gotta watch the first one.
Okay.
Let's let the folks who haven't read it read this one. And it's 7:47. When you're done reading the poem, and maybe a minute, let's say, I'm good. I'm good. Yep.
I'm good.
Okay. Then let's go to Santa Maria Esteves. It's one of my favorite poets, too. I'm going to tell you, you know how sad it is? Outside of Emily Dickinson is the only woman writer I probably got growing up, period. And barely got any poetry in school, you know, barely. And then she was probably the only one. I remember her and John Keats, and that was Edgar Allan Poe and Shakespeare. That was pretty much it. That's sad. I think Santa Maria Esteves, Dominican, Boricua, Puerto Rican writer, I think one of our really underrated great writers. I love her work. Please look her up. A little bit longer, so we're gonna have to scroll down after folks read the first part of it. Hold on. Has everyone read the first part of it? Still reading on the screen. I mean, the first lines of that poem are, wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can we go down, everyone? Or are we still reading that first part? Can we scroll down? Okay.
Yeah.
Slow down. Where do we leave off at?
Up a little.
To university.
Higher up, please. Someone, Lamar's asked, can we go back down? Can we go back? Can we go back a little bit, please? Even more, please. Where did we leave off at in the first half?
Kevin, all of the poems are pasted in chat now.
Oh,
so-
good. Good. Can we check them out there, y'all, real quick then? That makes it easier because Zoom gonna have to work on a screen share program. Hey, Marsha Johnson, is that how you say it, or is it Martia Johnson?
Martia.
Hey, Martia, where you at? Which city and state?
Brooklyn.
BKNY. Hey. Everyone good out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so let's do this because we're gonna start doing some reading of stuff. And again, it's not gonna be 15 people ever again. It's just, I want to be respectful of people's time. But we are gonna pick a few folks to read. But let's share for a second, these 10 minutes, like the poem or poems you're able to read, what stood out to you, thinking about what we're saying today about what poetry is. Anyone? Let's just dive right in.
In this poem by Sandra Maria Esteves, I love the third verse, the imagery in it when it's as in birth from her darkness, the free giving sun inch slow to visibility, revealing all color and form. I mean, I could see it in front of me, it's just, imagery is just so powerful.
Wow. She said, Diane said, I can see it. I mean, remember what we said about poetry, don't tell me, show me. And that whole poem, Sandra Maria Esteves, you just see everything. You feel it, you smell it, you taste it. Am I right?
And that's what I wanted to say. It's hitting on different senses.
Is that Jerome?
Jerome from Queens. It's hitting on different senses for me, each of the poems. So when I got to the poem, I taste a liquor never brewed, I started thinking of that taste of liquor. When I think of I Rise, I think about my emotions being stirred up in me. So it's hitting on different senses, each of these poems in different ways.
I'm glad you said Still I Rise. I mean, think about Maya's poem, Still I Rise. One of the techniques that we use in writing is repetition, repeating stuff over and over again, because it sticks with you. Still I rise, still I rise, still I rise. Anyone else?
What is that? Okay.
Who's speaking?
Safia Bandelli, Bedford Stuyvesant.
Hey, how are you?
Fine. That same one, the Sandra Maria poem, just blew me away. The colors is blue and black, brown, beige, indigo, azure. Beautiful, beautiful colors. And there's a poem, I don't know if it's a poem or a short story called Elegy in a Country Courtyard. Somebody know that?
Yeah.
Elegy is a poem, Elegy in a Country Courtyard. So I'm thinking of life and death too, as this child struggles to come into the world. Also like Elegy in a Country Courtyard. So the descriptions, the narrative, telling the story of this birth, so powerful in such a way that paints such vivid images. You're just rolling right along and hoping for the best for this child and just knowing that it's a struggle and we're right there with her. I think it's a magnificent selection. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I mean, think about where we started earlier tonight. And again, everything that we're sharing on the chat room and also on the screen share, we'll put on the Facebook page. The link is the link there already for the Facebook page?
Yeah.
Not yet?
It is.
Yeah.
Can we post it a couple times throughout the night today so people can grab it? We'll post these things there. But what you just said, Ms. Bandelli, this Sandra Maria Esteves poem is a narrative poem. We saw the list of the different types of poetry that we can play. We talked about narrative poetry, but we also talked about the importance of simile, of metaphors, of alliteration. She's got all these different things happening in one piece, which is an incredible piece of writing, as she said. Anyone else? Any other poems? Or lines of poems? Yes.
Harlem by Langston Hughes. It's Martia.
Hey.
And as far as imagery and touching on all of the senses, you can almost literally touch that poem. Like, I feel like you could feel everything because he just hits, it's like he took all the senses and just wrote a line for them.
Yeah.
What happens to a dream deferred? I mean, the poem is so powerful that Lorraine Hansberry named a play after it, A Raisin in the Sun, It's an incredible piece of writing. I mean, when he says it sags like think about what we're saying, simile, it sags like a heavy load. I mean, who hasn't experienced that? What people on the earth have not experienced something sagging, feeling like a heavy load?
Yeah.
And so y'all who said you're writing your memoirs, your autobiographies, I see Leslie Segar out there, another Carla Radford out there, you know, as you're telling your story, how this is who I was when I was 3 years old, when I was 10 years old, you know, Leslie Segar, this is how I dance. Just don't tell us that you dance. We want to see, we want to feel, we want to see it. Like, what does it look like when you were dancing as a child? What did you feel like? Y'all with me?
Yeah.
Actually, this is Ergi. I'm in New York City, and the Maya Angelou poem that you just mentioned, the line that really stuck out for me was that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. And that line is also one showing that sassiness. So I know that she said that, you know, like she had that word in her poem itself, but that's show me, don't tell me. That
Right.
just, it was like a zinger, it was funny, and it was just really so fabulous and so women power. I just love that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and to me, this is Mike again.
Hey,
just
Mike. And Mike, where are you based at? Where are you out of, by the way?
Oh, I'm in Denver.
Denver,
But
Colorado. All
the
right.
thing is with that Maya Angelou, you know, once again, that anaphora, it's like first she's got oil mines in her living room, then she's got gold in her backyard, and then she's got diamonds in her thighs, you know, it just builds like that, you know, just boom, the power. That's great stuff.
Because
Yeah.
Maya and all these poets were digging for words. And, you know, you want your poetry, your writings to be so unique. People, I mean, your writing should be like a piano out the window. People just stop and say, wow, what was that? You feel me, y'all?
Yes. Regan Kelso here. I'm from San Bernardino, California. And my poem, Hi, Still I Rise. I love, like, I've read this poem over and over again, and it means something different to me each time. Like, just like the moons and suns and the certainty of tides, like hopes springing, still I rise. Like, she used like compare and contrast of the moon and the suns, and it's like giving hope, especially during this time. I love it.
Hey, Padmini, I see you. Hey, I want to shout out Pablo Neruda. There's a reason why I put him there. Pablo Neruda is my favorite love poet ever. Like ever. Like ever. If y'all have never spent time with Pablo Neruda poetry, you must. One thing that I've always admired about a lot of our great writers from Latin America is just rich imagery as well, and just this kind of bearing of the soul, if that makes sense. And I really want to encourage you all to look up all these poets. You know, why is Robert Frost there? I love the way he wrote. I mean, it's like, you know, those of us who may not live in urban environments, using nature, you know, as a part of as a metaphor for life. You know, think about Robert Frost's poem that's there. You know, why did I pull up someone who wrote a poem in 1861? Emily Dickinson, because we should read writers from different periods in time. And how did they write in a different time? How did Phyllis Wheatley write in the 1700s? You know what I'm saying? Compared to how Zora Neale Hurston or Langston may have written in the 1920s. Does that make sense, y'all? Mm-hmm. You know, and so as we explore writers and poets, you know, I also think we got to explore different eras. And one of the things, and let's, again, no judgment, safe space. How many of y'all have said, I can't read that poetry, that book, because it's like old English. I don't understand what they're saying. Or if they're writing in dialect, I can't understand it. How many of y'all have done that or said it? Honestly, no judgment, no judgment.
It's me.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, may I?
Yes.
Sure. Try. Just try. It doesn't mean you have to like everything. I mean, Shakespeare's not for everybody, but try. Because if you're willing, I as an African-American can imagine not only reading African-American literature, but West Indian literature, Puerto Rican literature, Mexican literature, Jewish literature, Italian literature. When I went to Ireland for the first time, where did I go when I first went to Dublin, Ireland? I went to look up traditional Irish poetry. Y'all feel me?
Yep.
You know, I'm in England. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, what's this dialect called Cockney? I'm interested in how they speak. If I'm in Jamaica, what is patois? Y'all feel me?
Kevin.
Yes.
The Canterbury Tales.
Oh my God, remember the Canterbury Tales? All poetry.
When I was in high school, they made us read the 9th grade, the Canterbury Tales. It was horrible. It was like torture.
I remember that.
I remember that too.
I have my
that too.
Well, you know, and I will say this because, I mean, I'm glad y'all are being honest. I do think, I mean, it's not for everyone, but I think that we should read stuff that's relevant to us that we can relate to, but we also have to get outside our comfort zones.
Yeah.
Do both.
Yep.
You know, like, I'm just suggesting it. Y'all do what y'all want to do, but I think that part of the beauty of literature, of art, Leslie, you're a dancer. for example. You know what I mean? You have a history as a dancer. I'm sure you didn't just study the dance that you grew up in, but you saw other dance forms which you incorporated into your life. Am I right? You know, my favorite, Leslie, you're muted. You got to unmute yourself.
Absolutely. And as much as I didn't like ballet, I still had to make sure that it was in my arsenal.
That was the remix.
Jamming. Hey y'all, I will say, speaking of dialect,
Who's speaking?
This is Kimberly Jenkins.
Hey.
Hey, speaking of dialect, when I had to teach, I taught for a year English in high school. High school was not my best thing, but I taught English in high school. And we were reading Zora Neale Hurston. And Zora Neale Hurston, we were reading Their Eyes Were Watching God. And the students I taught in an inner city school in Indianapolis, and they were not feeling it at all. They weren't feeling it because they were like reading this dialect. They were like, what? This don't make no kind of sense. This like, what the hell she trying to say? And so what I did was I put it next to Shakespeare and we talked about dialect. But I took Zora Neale Hurston and I asked them to tell me why they had a problem with dialect. And I got, that don't make no kind of sense. That's stupid. I don't even understand that. So I said, all right, write what you just said on the board. And so they started to write it correctly. I was like, no. Write it exactly as you said it. We're gonna make a spelling for it. And when they wrote it out, that don't make no kind of sense. When you read it, I'm like, do you understand dialect? So basically, she's writing in our dialect. You just never paid attention. That's what I'm talking about, teaching them how to write. And we cut through it, and from the rest of that semester, they like got so into it. Then I challenged them to write a narrative about themselves in their own dialect. So when it comes to like, we did the same thing with Shakespeare, and they ran off with that too. We did Romeo and Juliet. But that's just my little interplay with reading and with dialect and with poetry. It's another way of expressing. It's a language.
It's a language. It's brilliant. I mean, if people really understood the similarities between Shakespeare and hip hop, or Shakespeare and rock and roll, yeah, I mean, come on, let's be real about it. Here's sex, drugs, and rock. Here's sex, drugs, and violence over here in Shakespeare, and here it is in our music.
And murder.
Yes.
And murder. I mean,
yes.
Yo, how many of y'all freaked out the first time you read Romeo and Juliet if you read it in high school and like, yo, what is going on up in this piece? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh.
You know, so let's do this.
Especially when you realize she's only 13 years old.
Wow.
She was ride or die, though. She was ride or die.
Ride or die for real.
Come on.
I saw a couple of you reference Tupac in here. I mean, you know, one of the things me and Tupac shared in common was that we both loved Shakespeare as teenagers. You know what I mean? That's how he became a great actor, because he had to take Shakespearean acting. You got to dive deep. And so as you all are writing pieces, your poetry, Ladera, or whoever, Michael, Michelle, you know, there's a few Michelles here, Mary, all of you all, think about the fact that someone might be reading this work 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, you know? And again, everything we write is not going to be classic, but we got to strive for it. You know, what can I say in this particular piece that's going to be uniquely different than anything that's ever been said before? Does that make sense, you all?
Yep. Can I say something about Emily Dickinson and that piece?
Wanda, hey.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right, what's up?
To the room.
Okay.
Where she speaks about the landlord, and she has it in quotations, and we know she's drunk, and she mentions foxglove. Foxglove is poisonous. So she, you know, it then turned into digitalis. So she's mentioning that, and unless you know, she's over there going, I would love to kill that joker. So, because isn't that how we think when we get so deluded and we can go to that place? But when you delve into it, and some people could be in a spot where that just hits them and they understand, especially now with rent and rent manipulation.
Exactly. I mean, when I think about Emily Dickinson's writings, I'm sorry, Godera, go right ahead.
No, it's okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just saying really quickly, when I think about Emily Dickinson's writing in particular, I think about our first week session where many of us talked about mental health, how writing is therapy for us. How we had I mean, yo, seriously. But Derek, what are you going to say?
I was going to mention that when we talk about like poetry and the power of poetry and how it lasts for so long, my parents, who grew up in Puerto Rico, had to memorize a poem by Luis Pales Matos, which was Majestad Negra, and it was about the African slaves in Puerto Rico, and there was so much pride in like that they memorized it, and like, you know, like 30 years later, they would like, you know, my parents would say it to me, and I just loved it. Like, I was like, wow, I need to, you know, it had so much power to it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm going to call out Kyla, and then I see Michael, you want to read as well, Michael Sendler. We're going to get a few poets, few writers in here. Are y'all good out there? It's 8:05. We're going to get off at 9 because we're going to go watch this thing called a debate, or someone said, let's call it an opera, y'all. That's what it's going to be tonight. It's going to be an opera.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a tragedy, man. Shakespearean tragedy.
For real. Where's Kyla at? Kyla, is your screen on too, Kyla? Because I don't see you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what's up, Kyla? Where are you
What's
at?
up? Brooklyn.
BKNY. So what are you going to share with us? Is it a poem?
Yeah, I got a poem.
Okay. Title and how long you been writing poetry?
Since I was a little kid, and title is Conversation with Myself to Fierce Black Femmes, aka the last one that broke my heart.
Wow. You got me at the title. We ready.
Right.
Stop coming for me. Stop coming to me for entertainment. I am not, nor have I ever had the full privilege of a masculinity that shrinks my breasts, or stops catcalls and questions from finding me on the side of the street, on my way home from work, or the gym, or my sister's funeral. Why do four walls find more justice than Black women?
Wow.
Stop coming to me offering nothing, as if every piece of me that falls into something other than female in your eyes owes you. This bald fade, this lineup are ways that I cut my hair, ways that I find solace in this body that feels awkward and unknown, even as my fingers press inside of you and your teeth find the tips of my nipples. Why can you not see me past these hands? The short fingernails and wide palms I've inherited from my grandmother. These hands that hold memories of hungry mouths fed and tiny bodies that rock to sleep late at night while waiting for mama to come home from her shift. Her hands like mine, tired and sore from forcing pineapples into tin cans. This body holds the expectations of a world that refuses to see past gender. In this household of one, I have always been the other. The other mother, father, parent, sister. Stop coming to me for entertainment. For the distraction to tell your friends the juicy gossip down the street about the nigga with strong hands and blunt fingers who feeds you when you're hungry and unclothes you when you arrive late at night and pulls you into arms that invites your tired body to rest as this world rips into your gender. Who even now, bald fade and dimples, thick fingers and tender breasts is somewhere waiting for you to show up.
Beautiful.
Wow. Wow. Wait, where did she go? She disappeared.
She's there.
Okay.
Hi,
Wow.
They're there.
That was beautiful. That was so powerful.
Absolutely.
Wow. Any thoughts, feedback? Because I have any feelings. Ella?
Wow.
Anyone? I see facial expressions like wow. Anyone?
Wow, incredible.
How about just stop coming for me? How about that? Like,
Right.
How about that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite a few of us said in the chat room, Kyla, that you had us at the title. Yeah. I mean, what I loved, it's a narrative poem. You know, I love the imagery. I even would say keep going more with imagery, you know, because you've got us there. And it's obviously been writing for a long time. And I hope that you continue to write because we need to hear your voice. Do you perform your work as well?
I used to, but I don't anymore. No.
You should.
Right.
People need to hear you. Is there a reason why?
I stopped writing a long time ago, actually, and then started writing again during the pandemic, actually.
Wow. How many of y'all have
When
really?
you're happy?
Say that again. Who spoke?
Do you write when you're happy or when you're at peace?
Yeah, totally.
I don't, and so I just, what you spoke about, really struck me, and it's, phases that I go through. I tend to not write when I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
Why is that? I mean, how many of y'all would say you only write when things are a bit rough?
I can't contain it. If I contain it, I implode. I'm an introvert to some degree, and so I'll stop functioning, and so I have to get it out on paper.
Yes.
I've switched at times to art therapy. I started doing drawing because I couldn't always find words. And so I started to, carry it again. And so for years, I just stopped doing anything. I just work and sleep. And so I came back to, talking in therapy, and then started drawing, and I'm trying to get back to where I can write, but I don't always want to write from a place of pain. Right?
That's the question.
So
before.
just, I really felt what she said, and I'm like, it's nice to also hear about people who have that balance.
Yes.
That write both.
Yes.
I haven't found that. Before
we get to Michael second and Elena third, and I see some of y'all saying you want to read as well. I want to stay with that what LC just talked about. I mean, can we write when we're happy? Does it always have to be from a place of sadness or pain?
Yeah, you can write when you're happy. Yeah.
Who's speaking?
Michelle.
Hey.
Yeah.
I see you, Michael. Why, Michelle?
Because joy is a part of life. And so we should always be able to write about the joyous occasions. I think if you develop the habit of writing, you can write under any circumstances, regardless of what your emotional state is. It's just a matter, I say this probably every time I open my mouth, just write every day. And then you cover all the range of emotions. You don't get stopped because you don't have a particular emotion that feeds that writing. I mean, sometimes you write differently depending on the emotion, but if you write every day, it'll always come, no matter where you are mentally.
It's a matter of writing every day, but it's also a matter of the quality of what you write. Right. And for some people, the quality they feel is the Mary J. Blige effect, right? We don't want Mary J. Blige music when she's happy. That's not a judgment. It's just that's real on what we get and how we can connect. So for some people, it is that they feel more. It comes out more. It comes out better for some people when they're sad. For instance, it's not better or worse for me. It takes more effort to write happy poems. But I think as a Black person, as a Black woman, that's something that I strive for, because joy is something that's real for us and that we should really tap into, because we are taught that we should struggle. And so often we write and create from that place of struggle. But, I agree, writing every day and getting away from the judgment of it. Just be wondrous, be curious.
I love that.
Out of the emotion.
Yeah. I also, Kevin, if I can add, this is Kyla again from Brooklyn.
Kyla, yes.
In terms of just like writing, when I stopped writing, it wasn't because I was happy or sad. It was because I was overwhelmed. It was because I was teaching. And for me, I was teaching writing, and for me teaching writing, I had to actually like be honest and be present. And there were things in my life that were happening that made me not want to be that way in certain aspects with the kids that I was teaching. And so I had to step away. I chose to step away because writing for me is also like an opening, right? Like everything that comes into my world and into my like mind comes out in my writing. And I think that it's not about writing when you're happy or writing when you're sad, but like being able to really identify that it's a tool for you to express is a really important piece for everyone to be able to write whenever it's necessary. And I think that right now in this time and in this moment for a lot of us, because there are 112 people on this call right now, it's necessary.
Yeah.
I like the necessary. I like that necessary. I come. This is Dodie in Kansas City. Pardon, Missouri. Thanks for knowing the difference. Yeah, so I come from music first and singing first, and was taught that musical theater happens when moments are so something that they can only be expressed musically. So the idea of necessity makes sense to me in the written word, that when I have to say something, that I have something I have to say in joy or sorrow, pain, all the many dimensions we each bring to our work, I think makes total sense. And there's a writer that has very successful television programming that was a friend of mine who said he never spoke about what he was writing because he needed to contain it so that it would be forced into the written word.
If I can add one thing to what I was saying, I think, well, number one, I grew up in a basically children are seen and not heard kind of environment. And also, you know, I'm not really trying to hear what you're trying to say. And I found later that because I grew up in musical theater, and my exposure to poetry was from my grandmother with my great grandmother with Paul Laurence Dunbar, who was her favorite. And so I pretty much read everything by Paul Laurence Dunbar. But I found that the only time I used other people's words when I was happy, other people's songs, other people's poetry.
Yeah.
Because I felt like no one really wanted to hear my complaints. And I think that I started writing to express those things and I only would express myself when I was happy through other people's words, through other people's music, through other people's voice, because that allowed me to engage with the people around me. But when it came to, I have a complaint, I feel this way. And when that wasn't, when no one was receptive, then I would turn and write. And then so I wrote a whole book of poetry, and I asked my English teacher to read it and kept asking and asking. I gave it to him, and he doesn't remember getting it. And he lost it, and I stopped writing for years. I had no copies, and so then it started again. You know, little by little I would write, but I just, you know, he didn't even remember getting it.
Wow.
So it was interesting.
You know, and I'm trying to be conscious of the time, but what you said just
Yeah.
now, LC, no, you're fine. That was powerful. I'm so glad you shared that. I'm glad everyone's sharing. Because we talked about it, was it the first week, y'all, the first workshop where we talked about the many kind of traumas, the traumas of people disrespecting our writing? Do y'all remember that the first week? And so, you know, again, we can't say that any space is 100% safe space or non-judgmental, but I at least want this space to be a space where people feel like there's love in the room and that everyone's voice matters as equals, you know? And so I'm so glad that you're here, LC, because it's important that we know that there's a community of us, like there's a tribe of us, whatever our thing is. It could be writing, it could be yoga, whatever it is. Like there's people out there who care about us and want to hear our voices. I want to be respectful of time, but y'all are saying some great stuff. Michael's next. Who did I say was going to go after Michael? Do y'all recall?
Me.
What was it?
Elena, me.
Okay, Elena, that's right. I'm sorry, Elena. And then I had Jerome Hurt. Jerome, you still there?
Still
Jerome?
here. Yeah.
Okay, and then E. Carcass, are you down to read? I saw your note saying you feel a little nervous after hearing Kyla's poem. As we've said in week 1, week 2, we're saying in week 3, we are not competition with anyone else.
Right.
You are dope. You are dope. Your voice matters. All right.
And thank you very much. It's Erji is my first name. I just can't figure out how to change how the name shows up.
Yeah.
And I know I fall into that category though of like the self-censorship, especially on the personal writing front. And so I am definitely nervous because the quality of everything that I've heard is just blowing me away. I mean, just week after week. And
you will be dope too.
You're fine. We're here to support each other. You're here to support.
Absolutely. I totally feel that. And nevertheless, I'm
like, whatever, Kev. I'm still nervous, and I respect that. Suggestion for the sake of time: Michael, Elena, E. Carcass, and Jerome Hurt. Can they each read their pieces first, and then we give feedback at the end to everyone? Can we do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's do that because it's 8:19, 9 o'clock. We're going to have our Shakespearean play called The First Presidential Debate. Yep. Michael, you ready?
Yeah, okay. I just real quick want to say, LC, you should look in the chat because people are sending you a lot of love.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
And speaking of the Shakespearean debate, This ties right into it. Unfortunately, tragedy that was lost, and we're about to go through a thing of it. So this is called The Quantity of Mercy from the Menace of Kavanaugh for C.B. Ford, with apologies to Willie the Shake.
Oh.
That's a heck of a title.
Wow.
Wow.
Speak it. Go ahead, speak it.
The quantity of mercy is off-strained. It drops charges, ignores blame, treats women as if a race beneath. It cheats twice. Yes, it forgiveth him that beats and him that rates. 'Tis easiest on the mighty. It becomes the privileged male to act the vengeful clown. His status bends the force of judicial power, thus able to make awful tragedy wherein doth sit as peer and pull at strings. But mercy is absent, justice decays. Privilege enthroned at the heart of things is an affront to suffrage itself, as unearned power doth then skew all odds when mercy pleads for justice. Therefore, true, though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in this court of just us, none of us shall see salvation. He who plays for party and that same power does sour all he renders, this thief of mercy. He will do much to mutilate justice for the worthy, which if thou follow, this warped court of vengeance will thus give sentence gainst the women there.
Wow. 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 We're going to give feedback on everyone at the end. Elena is next. And Martia Johnson, I hit you with a private message. Do you actually want to read? Because you had your hand up. You'll be the last one?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll go last. So it's Elena, Icarcus, Jerome, and then Martia to close us out. Cool, y'all? And we're going to pick different people every week. So, if you read already previous week, just that'll be over 100 people plus every week. So we want to get new people in. Is that cool, everyone?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So, Elena. Yes. Hey, can we center the screen when people are reading? Chris Lopez, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. Hey.
Here I am. Okay, the name of this piece is Zenda's Mermaids. I'll explain it afterwards.
Let us hear it.
Zenda's Mermaids, a poem for brown-skinned girls with honey blonde curls. Their caramel brown skin, colored by the sun rays from love of a good father. Their honey blonde curls coiffed loosely like the freedom allowed by their Egyptian queen mother. These two carry the freshness of spring in their smiles and hugs, and summer warm love that mends my morning heart, gift wrapping the memory of girly fun, never to leave as small tokens of their visit linger in the things left behind. Books we read, movies watched, mermaids, top golf, good food prepared with love, recipes shared, the life we always wanted but never knew. Thanks, Kobe. We're missing you.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So those are, my sister had one son, and he was a pilot, and he was killed flying a small plane in 2011. And he left behind a wife and 3 girls. 2 were his biological. 1 was 18 months and 1 was yet to be born.
Wow. Wow. His name was Kobe.
His name is Jacoby. Yes.
Jacoby. I'm sorry, Jacoby.
Yes.
That's a beautiful tribute.
Wow.
And the Egyptian queen mother, the reason why I call her Egyptian queen is because he proposed to her on the Nile River.
Oh.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He took her on a cruise to the Nile because that was his favorite country that he visited. And so he took her to the Nile to propose to her. And summer of 2018, she brought the girls up to visit, and we just had such a wonderful time. And my sister had one son and I had one son, and we were always talking about how, well, we don't have any girls, but Kobe gave us 2 beautiful girls.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. All right. How do you say your first name? Icarcus?
Ergie. Erzsi. So air and then G like Gigi. It's Hungarian. It's a Hungarian name.
That's a cool name. Erzsi. I love it. Where are you at? What state are you in?
So I'm in New York City.
Oh, cool. Right on. I'm in Brooklyn. What borough are you in?
Manhattan.
Manhattan. All right.
Manhattan, yep.
Cool. How long have you been writing?
So, well, I am a professional writer in the sense that I'm an attorney, so I'm writing all the time, and I'm translating legalese all the time. And I don't know if Lakeisha is here, but everything that she said in the past couple of times about, being a, decent professionally writer, or very good professional writer, is kind of where I'm at. So I'm translating legalese text into, words that other people, my colleagues, can understand on a regular basis. But when it comes to my personal writing, I succumbed to being quieted, from the criticism from the, AP English teacher and in college. And so I've been trying to write more. Like I started a personal blog off and on once I had my first kid.
Wow.
But more off lately than on. So I picked it up again during the pandemic, but I haven't really done much. And, but I'd like to explore something other than just, contracts and.
Please put the link for your blog, both in this chat room and also on the Facebook page. And anyone who has a website of any kind, please share it with us. You ready to read?
I am. So,
okay.
And this is actually from the blog.
Okay.
Monday, April 6th. I can never decide how to refer to the lovely dusting of cherry blossoms on the ground this time of year. They remind me of snow in the spring, sometimes white, sometimes pink. Is it best to call them snow petals or petal flakes? Putting blossom into it does not quite work because rarely are the blossoms intact by the time they create this beautiful floral carpet. I suppose petal flakes is a bit more accurate, but the pink ones will always be pink snow for me. I love these fleeting moments where the streets are dusted with these flakes and piles of petals collect along the curb and swirl up around in petal tornadoes when a cab rushes past. I love the carpet they create under the trees. I love the certainty of this annual occurrence of beauty in these uncertain times. An upside of Quarantinelandia is being able to see these reliable changes with more frequency.
Wow.
Nice.
And you're hiding because
the image is rich. Wow.
Yes.
You're a lawyer, you said?
I am. Thank you. Yeah.
you're hiding because
I think there's a poet that's been hiding.
Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Definitely.
Wow. We're gonna get full feedback in a second, but that was I'm loving.
There's actually several great poets who were made their living as lawyers or
doctors,
other things like that. Yeah. So that doesn't hold you back.
It doesn't. Jerome Hurt, you ready?
I'm ready, brother.
Okay.
This is called By Any Means Necessary. Many, if not all of us, have seen the image of my hero, Malcolm X, looking out of the window of his home with an AK-47 in tow with the words, "By any means necessary." Those words and the weapon Malcolm X chose to have in his hands has so many meanings to me. You see, while most may see it as use any means to protect his home or his family, and make no mistake about it, I do as well. I also go deeper, especially in the times that we are in. I have seen Black and brown men, women, and children activated in ways I haven't seen in my 44 years of activism. My mother started me in activism at age 11. The weapons we have used are hitting the streets in protests over the Black bodies killed by those paid to protect us without provocation. We've used the weapon of our voices. May they be via social media posts, our music, or one of my local heroes as well, Sister Tamika Mallory. We use our weapon as writers via blogs, editorials, poetry, and again, social media platforms. My choice, beside voting, is the only thing that seems to move those in power: money. As a financial professional, I see wealthy clients use their wealth to support their families, their very own habits or hobbies, education, businesses, but mostly political campaigns. Racism is not free. It's paid for by those who desire to control those who don't have wealth. The top contributors to the campaign of the current occupant are a who's who of the richest in the world. But that wealth is used to support policies and politicians that seek to oppress us. That's why I created a platform for Black and brown business owners to sell to clients that look like them. That's why I bring content to over 167,000 members in all 50 states and 99 countries worldwide to empower them by seeing Black excellence. That's why I will not be a part of a moment in time, but a movement to empower Black business owners to build sustainable, prosperous businesses throughout this world so that we can build communities and Black Wall Streets, so that we can truly educate our children about the fact that they come from kings and queens, and it will no longer be an insult when a racist says to them, go back to where you came from. The Black dollar leaves the community faster than any other racial group. We are also last in all races of creating generational wealth. I know we can, and I know we will change that. 4 months into my group, I know Black and brown lives have changed. How do I know? I have emails as receipts. So let's do what Brother Malcolm said. Let's not only see the one weapon in hand, but all the weapons we came into this life equipped with. Let's do it because we are our ancestors' greatest dreams come true. We have a responsibility to see true equality come. Choose your weapon. Choose wisely by any means necessary.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Ruth.
Say that.
Wow. Marcia, you want to take us
2 times for the people in back who didn't.
Damn.
Thank you, Jerome. Wow.
Okay.
Woo. Marcia, you good?
I have to call
It's all love. We all support one another.
All
That's
support each
right.
other.
Yeah.
Everyone's voice is important, no matter how our voice is. Everyone's voice is important. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this piece is called Not Her Body.
Not her body.
It started with a collection of cells that formed a zygote, then an embryo, then a fetus, then birth, and now here. How did she end up here? With her body pressed against the sheets that were pink like her flushed cheeks, soaked in a sweat that wasn't hers, mingling with tears she couldn't stop from falling, but she had stopped crying. I love you. He loves her. Her softness, her sweetness, her purity. That's what fed the insatiable beast. He was nothing more than a wolf in the carcass of a sheep. Her body was his carcass, where he found solace. Her body was a temple in which he prayed even when uninvited, always uninvited, and somehow she couldn't hate him. No matter how much he hurt her, so instead she hated herself. Lost sight of her beauty, as her spirit faltered, she was left in a constant state of nudity. Her voice broke like her heart when she knew she would never be who she once was. Now she was this. She was his, marked with the guilt of never being brave enough to tell, afraid to be accused of liking her abuse. And he loved her, right? Or so he said, with behind locked doors in the dead of night, left her with the image of herself only mirrors could see. In her body, she screamed nothing more than an inmate's plea, wanting to be free. But to achieve her freedom, she had to be selfish. But how could self-sacrifice of the body ever be considered selfless? She just needed it to hurt less, to push herself further away. Then one day she found herself on the edge of an abyss. She fell willingly, knowing no fate can be worse than the life she already had lived.
Wow.
Damn.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Okay. Wow.
Whoa.
You all are wow.
Amazing.
Even write stuff. Just like it's too much. It's too much. I can't even write comments. This is amazing.
Yeah, you shouldn't worry about who you come after because your stuff holds up no matter what. That was
Thank you very much.
Right. That's right. I wrote down a couple things. One, this is for everybody, all of us, because it comes up so often in these sessions, these first 3 weeks. Please, y'all, let's not participate in the silencing of our own voices.
Yes.
Let's not participate anymore in the silencing of our own voices. Can we agree to that, y'all?
Yes.
You know, just the fact that every time we do these workshops, over 100 plus people stay to the end says a lot about people needing to use their voices. We heard it again tonight. Second thing, a writer must write. We said it earlier today, a writer must write. Please, and I love the comments that were given to LC in the chat. Make a commitment to writing. If you can't, we don't want to use the word can't, but if you don't feel because of your work or your family's obligations, et cetera, that you are able to write every single day, at least, hey, whoa.
It's yourself.
Yeah.
That was funny. Were they New Yorkers? No kidding, I'm a New Yorker.
I hope they're safe over there because that didn't sound quite safe. So I hope they're safe.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes.
Number two, we gotta write regularly. So please make a commitment to writing every week at least, something. Yeah. And then, you know, find spaces just like we created this space to share your voice. That's important, you know, please. Feedback, we got about 10 minutes. Let's do about feedback, 10 minutes to get feedback, and then I want to close this out. But feedback on the 5 that just shared: Michael, Elena, Ergie, and Jerome and Martia. Let's get some feedback, y'all.
Can I say something?
Yes, who's speaking?
I say the whole idea of being naked, how beautiful and how exposed. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay? How someone can love you, but then it could be used against you. Mm-hmm. And back up what you just said, how we look at ourselves. I was just thinking about this today. I don't know if you've been watching Lovecraft Country, but you see the new, do you see our sister
Hippolyta?
Hippolyta Angelou. Did you hear her scream that name, Hippolyta?
Yes.
Things are so powerful. Did you see her give herself? And our sister is thick. Now, you know what that's a beautiful sister right there. Did you see her hair? Did you see everything about her? So she's going about it, and you gotta give of yourself.
I am.
Well, excuse me. You got to give of yourself. You cannot fear yourself. And the whole idea of being prone, standing, and naked is really important to all of us, okay? Because they can come at you, but you could come back another way. If our mind is right, we'd be like, shoot, my name is Hippolyta. So I went to look up what Hippolyta meant and who her father was, okay? You with a name like that, that means her mother and her parents knew they were speaking power into that sister just by the name, okay? Mm-hmm. Her people was powerful. Got to fall back on who we are and all of those words that came before us today, and, you know, not being sure that what you got is really a thing. No, stop that. Everybody, just last week and this week, you're just blowing us away with your souls and giving to us like family. Sis, with the whole mermaid, you gave us Jacoby. That man's name will be in my head all week.
That's right. That's right.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah. You know,
not to leave out anybody else, not calling. Jerome said, I'm from Queens. I'm like, okay.
Right. I mean, or Ergie, and any of you who have a career or a job doesn't mean that you can't be a creative, an artist, or writer as well. Why can't you be more than one thing? Who said you can't be more than one thing? You know?
Right.
Anyone else? Feedback?
Yeah.
I'm not hearing.
Oh, go ahead.
Who's speaking? Where you at?
This is
I'm sorry, go ahead. Somebody was speaking before me? I'm sorry.
This is Harry out in California.
Oh, Harry.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Harry. Bay Area.
Yeah. Let me come on the screen. I would like to encourage the last poet. There is a volcano's worth of talent there. I always tell my kids, you know, acting class, release all that talent because it's so potent. And I just wanted to encourage you. I really loved your piece.
Thank you.
Wow.
And that youthful voice has encouraged me. Thank you so much.
That was beautiful. Anyone else? Feedback for folks?
Yeah, I had feedback from Michael. So Michael, I immediately went to Portia's monologue and The Quality of Mercy when you read yours. So thank you. And
yeah, it's a direct, like line by line rewrite. Yeah.
Yeah. And Elaine, thanks for the elegy in Jacoby. That was really, really beautiful. And Erica, right? Erica?
Ergie.
I said, who's Erica?
I'm sorry. Some of the best writers I've known have been lawyers. I have one of my favorite attorneys. I used to work for a judge and I would read his brief just for the beauty of the prose. And he was one of the most different attorneys I knew because he could craft a narrative. He could tell a story.
That's right.
And Jerome, I love that repetition. In yours, we are. And I think Marty or Marcia, I just listened to yours because it was so powerful. I didn't even write anything. I just listened and processed.
Is it Marcia or Martia?
It's Marcia.
Martia. Okay, Martia. Process yours. It's very powerful. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Anyone else? Or even the folks that just read, you any further thoughts from y'all? Anyone, please.
I want to say one of the things, and it's been a theme probably from week one, that we should never silence our voices. When I hear a voice, I want to amplify that voice. And we need to use our spaces and our platforms to amplify. And Kevin, you're doing that. We need to use our spaces and our platforms to amplify the powerful voices that are out here that are just not getting the opportunity. We need to be purposeful about that. And Kevin, I thank you for giving all of us the opportunity to do that.
Well, we're doing it together. We're doing it together and we're teaching each other.
Thank you, Kevin.
Right.
So thank y'all. We're doing it together. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Elena.
Hey, sorry.
The gyro. I had two quick comments. I love
the
the
gyro.
line.
Is your screen on the gyro?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Hey.
Hey, darling. Wolf in the carcass of a sheep.
Yeah.
That's one of those. We just turn that line around. And racism is not free.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great lines.
Yeah. But I'm also hearing these 2 weeks of readings is just a lot of courage, incredible courage.
Oh yeah.
You know, the things that y'all are saying, be it about yourselves, about what's going on in the world. It's just, because part of being a writer, to me, is being fearless. You got to be willing to push the envelope. Who else wants to speak?
Elena.
Hey, that's right. I'm sorry, Elena. Go right ahead.
I just wanted to give honor to the mothers of poetry that I love, that grew me up. I was a child of the 60s and 70s, and one of my favorite poems, Nikki Giovanni's Beautiful Black Men, where she really honors all of the Black men entertainers and things. I love that poem. And Lucille Clifton, you talked about.
I love Lucille Clifton, yeah.
Most notably, I was a freshman in college, and all through my young life, I was known as Tracy. So back in that day, whatever you were enrolled in school with, that was your name. So it was Tracy. My name is Elena Teresa. There was Tracy nowhere in my legal name, unless you take Teresa and you translate it. And so when I went to college, I had to use my legal first name, which is Elena. And so it was very weird for me because everybody knew me as Tracy. And so I took an English literature class, and we had a guest speaker, and our guest speaker was the mother of poetry, Gwendolyn Brooks. And I loved her poem, We Real Cool. So we were able to meet her after she spoke, and she said exactly what you said, Kevin, to keep writing, and that, writing is your voice.
That's right.
And so when I went up to meet her, the first thing she asked me, she says, "What is your name?" And I said, Elena. And if you've ever seen Gwendolyn Brooks, she has this big, beautiful smile. And she gave this big, beautiful smile, and she said, "That is a beautiful name." And from that day on, I was Elena.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Let me say I'm reading some of the comments here, and thank you so much for sharing that, Elena. That was a powerful story. And if y'all have not read Gwendolyn Brooks, another writer that we need to put on that list, please read Gwendolyn. Yep, shout out to Chicago. Someone, because you know how we were proud of where we were from. She was from Chicago. Alexis talked about Whew. I mean, again, for those, we still have 103 people here, even as we get close to 9 o'clock, which says a lot about the power of us collectively. I see you, Michael Carter, who you're working on your autobiography. Is that right, Michael? You're working on the memoir as well. I see y'all out there. Michael, you out there? We can't hear you, Michael.
Oh boy.
There you go. We got you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm working on my memoir. I've been writing since November of last year, and then I currently was going through some health issues with suffered upper respiratory infection, bronchitis, and now I'm out of work for 12 weeks with a bulging disc. So
wow.
I increased my writing from 1 hour to now 6 hours a day.
Wow. How do you feel? How do you feel?
I feel good. I mean, you know, God been with me with writing and my health, and just through prayer and just getting this writing out has been incredible. It's stuff I've been holding in for like 30 years that I've been just wanting to get out, and it's been very relieving.
Yeah. And I want to say to you, Michael, and to y'all, because I see y'all giving each other support in this the chat room. Let's also, again, today, if we can put it back up there before we close out, we're going to have a Facebook page live. Jerome, thank you for saying to folks, we let's try to avoid terms like writer's block. And again, we are not in competition with anyone. You know, your voice matters, your stories matter, your life matters, the things that you have observed, that you lived through matters. Are we in agreement there, y'all? Are we still here?
Yes. Yes.
Well, and you know, you write at your own pace. You know, again, Toni Morrison did not write her first novel till she was nearly 40, but the second half of her life, prolific, because she became a disciplined writer. Please watch the Toni Morrison documentary that came out a year ago. Please watch it. And she talks about the discipline of writing. You know, you see what I'm doing every week, writing stuff down, because this is important. I just want to encourage you all. We gotta write in some form or fashion if we say we're writers. I'm glad I'm humbled that I've seen y'all over these 3 weeks post on social media, hashtag I am a writer. That's the name of the Facebook page that we set up, I am a writer. Anyone who doesn't think they're a writer, they shouldn't come to the room. They just shouldn't come, you know what I'm saying? But if you are, you know, and it's okay. I mean, Michael, you've been through a lot. This has been one of the deepest years of my life. But I realize it's also been one of the most prolific years of my life, writing-wise, because I just get it out of me. I love what y'all said, the advice that we're giving to each other. Let's not just write when we're going through traumatic things, but let's figure out, you know, what are our happy moments? You know? In fact, let's take 2 minutes. Put it in your phone. If you got a piece of paper and pen or pencil by you, what makes me happy? Just write it down. Real quick, can we just write it down? What makes me happy? What really makes me happy? What brings me joy? We're going to close it out on that. When you're done, just say done.
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 So remember how we had to write 3 haikus last week? Remember that?
Yes. Yes.
Exercise. So between now and next week, I want to challenge you all. I don't care if it's a poem, a play, part of your memoir, autobiography, something. Write about what makes you happy. Let's challenge ourselves. And Elsie, you inspired us. Elsie, give me your face too. I see your face. But it's all love, Elsie, because you actually inspired us. You know what I mean? Because I do think it's important. I mean, I can be honest, a lot of my writing has been depressing. Actually, when I wrote The Education of Kevin Powell, I have no regrets in like my autobiography. My one thing that I think about, and people who really know me know that I tell a lot of jokes, is barely any joy in my memoir. I wish I could go back because I actually love comedy. I mean, I'm a kid who grew up with Abbott and Costello. I love Lucy and Richard Pryor. I love to laugh, but you would think my life was just one big depression. You know what I'm saying? So that's the challenge. Write about something that makes you happy. And I want to hear some of y'all next week or the following weeks as we read. And Michael Sindler, thank you for saying that. He said maybe put the happiness on the Facebook. Yeah, let's put it on the Facebook page. Let's put our haikus on the Facebook page. Let's share some of the things we're writing on the Facebook page. Is that cool, y'all?
Okay.
Yes.
Is it a public page that you can see? Because I don't use.
It'll be a public page. Yeah, it'll be a public page. The link, can we post the link again, Sadea? And please, again, let's support the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, one of our great cultural institutions, not just in New York or America, but around the world. People come from all over the world to be there. Who wants to close us out with, what did we get out of today? I hope it was useful. Anyone, any words about today? anything that we should have talked about, we should talk about? Who wants to close it out? Few final words.
Kevin, I would like, this is Andrea in Virginia. I would like to say thank you for providing those resources for us. That was really helpful today. So thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. That'll be posted on the page as well. Yeah, the page will be posted. Thank you, Sadea. Shout out to Sadea, Chris Lopez, Daniel Galland, and Jason Quinones from the Nuyorican Poets Cafe. Yes, Big Les. We have Leslie Cigar. We have to write consistently. And it starts with I am a writer, safe space, no judgment. I actually think we need to apply that safe space, no judgment to ourselves.
Yeah. Yes.
What do y'all think?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and I get it. You know, it's not like we were taught, I certainly wasn't taught like, hey, this is what self-esteem looks like. We've had to figure it out. Right. You know, and I hear dogs, yes. Who else wants to say something?
I wanted to say something to Martia. I think that was her name.
Who's speaking?
Martia, the last one who read.
Who's talking? Who's speaking?
Veronica from Chicago. My image is great. He'll share. To Martia, thank you for bringing us back to the body. I keep seeing that. So I'm thinking of the sisters on the front line during the protest who are under attack. Thinking about the body of Breonna Taylor. Thinking about the bodies of Black and brown women. And so I wanted to thank you for bringing us back to the body and as a reminder for us to be in our own bodies. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you. The body. Wow. Wow. Dana Sanabria would thank you for this forum. Anyone else? Sharing some words. If you're going to watch the debate, it starts in 9 minutes, no matter where you are in the country. We're going to get out of here by like 8:57, 6 minutes. So anyone else want to share as we close out?
Hello?
Yes, who's speaking?
This is Aaliyah in Atlanta.
Hey, Aaliyah.
I really appreciate everyone in this group. It's just a healing balm for me. So thank you, everyone who participates and hosts and makes this thing happen every week. I just wanted to reflect back on what you said about being fearless, because I've been writing something that scares the shit out of me, and I'm totally afraid to put it out and actually to finish it and put it out. But what you said about fearlessness and writers push the envelope, I think is very inclusive of the idea of not silencing our own voices. And so I just wanted to say, thank you for that push. It's like, it's got me shaking inside. You could probably hear it in my voice. It's this, woo, to really let the writing push me. And
that means it means something.
Yes.
That means it's meaningful. It means something. You got to birth that thing out.
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning of this, we talked about, poets and songwriters, because songs are poetry. Just think about like what song or artist, no matter how many times you've heard them, you just pause. Like, that's my song. That's that artist. You know what I'm saying?
Kevin, can I just say to Aaliyah,
yes, Jerome.
I mentor like 45 young men and women, and I'm also a former basketball coach. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be scared.
Yeah, that's right.
But what does that nervousness and that being scared move you to? Okay, because we are surrounding you in love and support.
Yeah.
Right. So it's okay for you to be scared. Michael Jordan was scared. Don't ever get that twisted. He was scared. Yeah. He was scared of him not winning, him not succeeding. Yeah. So you are not alone in that.
That's right.
So use that to drive you. Be scared that your voice won't be heard. Be scared that the words that you have will not get to who they need to get to because you've kept them inside. That's all that I wanted to share.
I love that.
Even if you're only getting them out for yourself.
That's right, Michael. That's right, Michael. Yeah.
I'm Ella Chapman from Minnesota, and I wanted to chime in on that because you're right, Jerome. And Ali, in reference to using your voice to reaching the people that otherwise, if you don't speak, they won't know. And I had been writing a book and had actually completed the book, but my editor, gave me my book back and said I needed to express myself a little more. And so because my story would incorporate other things that had happened to me in a trauma way, I wasn't sure if I should write a book or not. I was going to just not do it. But because I've been setting in on this class, this way to grow yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, you can grow from here. So I have been using my voice through my writing now, and I've been expressing things, and I don't care. See, I had to get to this place. I don't care who is affected by it or not. This is my healing platform, and I'm going to use it for that. It's for healing. And so I'm just glad that that was said, because it comes out as expressing that place, that dark place or the light place or wherever you are in your life, but to be able to use it to help someone that may pick up that book. So that's where I'm at, to go on
Ella,
and do it anyway.
Ella, thank you. And as you were speaking, I love what Michael was echoing you when he said, even if you're writing for an audience of one, you got to write. You got to tell you. Yeah. Thank you, Ella. Thank you, Michael.
Hey,
Anyone
Kevin.
else? Yes.
It's David.
David. Hey, David.
Hey, how's everyone? I'm in New York. I'm Manhattan, Midtown. I want to say thank you. I express my gratitude for you providing this workshop, and to everyone for sharing. I'm somewhat of an introvert, but I speak a lot and do consumer advocacy. I write grants. I'm more a business writer. So there was some encouragement I heard from that space of having technical writing skills. My mother was an English teacher. My grandfather wrote English grammar in 1935 books.
Wow.
You know, so I feel like there's a huge, push, and I have to step up. But I think there's a part of me that wants to write more, but I feel somewhat a paralysis from showing that on paper. So I think this was encouraging for me, and I will investigate. I am a writer. And
Yes. Yes.
And so I think with all the encouragement and everyone sharing, some of the works I've heard are amazing, that you even put that out for others to hear. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. I'm glad to be in the space.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's do this, y'all. We start with a meditation. This is this is a safe space, non-judgmental space. Let's just close our eyes for 30 seconds or so. I'll count it down and just kind of think about what we heard and felt today. I love the fact we still have about 100 people in this room, even after 2 hours, which says a lot about the commitment we all are making here. Let's breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Hip hop, yeah. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's one last time. Deep breath in, positive energy, in through the nose. And then out through the mouth. And then on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, where I am a writer. 1, 2, 3.
I'm
a writer.
I am a writer.
I am a writer.
I am a writer.
I am a writer.
We are writers.
I am a writer.
I'm a writer.
I'm a writer.
So don't forget, next week, we have the Facebook page. Please jump on the Facebook page, invite people. A lot of folks can see what we've done.
Okay.
Next week, we're going to be talking about writing essays. We're going to be talking about writing essays/blog, same time. I will actually be in California next week, so I'll be on the West Coast time zone, but I'm looking forward to being with y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Be safe out there. Be safe out there. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
Love them, please. All right, y'all. I love y'all.
Yes.
Have a blessed night.
Love to y'all. Love to y'all.
On Facebook.
Thank
See you on Facebook.
Thank you.
And keep writing every week, please, everybody. All right.
All right.
Right.
Bye.